Hello, everyone, and a very good morning. Distinguished delegates and experts from SAARC member states and regions around the world. It gives me a great pleasure to extend you all a very warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I, on behalf of Director SAARC Energy Centre, thankful to all of you for joining us in this webinar on modern clean cooking technologies for rural households. My name is Ehsanullah Marwat. I am working as Research Fellow Energy Efficiency at SAARC Energy Centre, Islamabad. I shall be moderating today's session. Dear participants, according to Tracking SDG 7 Report 2023, present progress on SDG 7 falls far behind, including SDG 7.1, which is universal access to modern energy. Around 2.3 billion people globally lack access to clean cooking facilities, relying on the unsustainable resources of energy. The situation in South Asia is not very different. Majority of the rural population depends on traditional energy resources for cooking that leads to indoor air pollution and health disparities. By promoting the adoption of clean cooking technologies, we not only mitigate the negative effects on the environment but also improve the well being of individuals and communities, particularly women and children. Fostering a healthier and more sustainable future, SAARC member states encounter numerous challenges in ensuring access to clean cooking, such as lack of enabling policy framework, acquiring financing, and advancements in technology. To address all these challenges, we need a genuine urgency and willingness to match words with action. Today, we will try to identify such gaps and find out some practical solutions. Dear participants, with this, I may request Dr. Nawaz Ahmed, Director SAARC Energy Centre, for opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ehsan, for giving brief introduction and holding of this knowledge sharing webinar. Uh, Dear participants and presenters of the webinar, good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Nawaz Ahmed, Director of SAARC Energy Centre, welcome you all to this webinar on modern clean cooking technologies for rural households. As we know, clean cooking technologies are not just about reducing harmful emissions, but about improving the quality of life for millions, especially in rural communities, where traditional cooking methods continue to expose households to indoor air pollution. Inefficient cooking related health risks are severe, contributing to respiratory diseases, especially among women and children. The World Health Organization reports that over 4 million people die annually due to illness attributed to household air pollution caused by inefficient cooking methods. Beyond the health and environmental impacts, adopting clean and efficient cooking technologies in rural communities provides significant energy benefits. These technologies dramatically reduce the reliance on traditional biomass fuel, decreasing energy consumption and promoting energy efficiency. By utilizing less fuel for the same amount of cooking, they also contribute to energy savings at the household level, while enhancing energy security and reducing deforestation. The objective of this seminar is to create awareness about more suitable and feasible technologies in the clean cooking domain in South Asia. Adoption of such technologies not only offer improved health outcomes, but also support sustainable development. Dear participants, in this event, we have invited experts from Modern Energy Cooking Services, MECS, United Kingdom, Finovista, India, and Asian Development Bank. They will share their knowledge and experience with the participants and respond to their questions. I'm delighted to acknowledge the great cooperation and support extended by them. In the end, I thank you all for joining this event. I expect this webinar to be an interactive session, so please feel free to join the discussion and express your valuable opinions. With these words, I declare the session open and wish you all a very comfortable learning and knowledge sharing experience. Now I request Mr. Ehsanullah, Research Fellow at SAARC Energy Centre, to take us through the agenda. Over to Mr. Ehsan, and thank you all again for joining us in this event.
Thank you very much, Director SAARC Energy Centre, for your visionary thoughts. Dear participants, before proceeding with the agenda, I would like to draw your attention towards some important points related to today's session. Please note that the agenda of this webinar is already available on SEC website. All presentations, a brief report on webinar and its recording link will also be uploaded on SEC website. There will be a brief question and answer session after each presentation. You will have the opportunity to ask questions to our presenters by typing your questions under the questions tab or chat tab of the Microsoft Teams panel on your screen. Please also mention the name of the presenter to whom you would like to address your question. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentations. We shall be asking questions on your behalf. Due to time limitations, I apologize in advance if I am unable to address all questions. Ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely grateful to our elite panel of speakers, including Dr. Rehab Khalid from Modern Energy Cooking Services Max program, Loughborough University, UK, Mr. Vimal Kumar from Finovista, India, and Ms. Lachana Sharastacharya from Asian Development Bank for this session. I shall be introducing them in detail before start of their sessions. So let's start with the presentations from our experts. Our first presenter is Dr. Rehab Khalid. Dr. Rehab Khalid is a research associate at Modern Energy Cooking Services Max program at Loughborough University, UK. Her work primarily focuses on socio-spatial justice in the clean cooking transition across urban and displacement settings in Africa and Asia, employing feminist, intersectional, and decolonial approaches. Her research aims to transform Southern energy narratives, promoting inclusion for equitable and sustainable energy transition and gender equity. Dr. Khalid holds a PhD in architecture from the University of Cambridge, where she also recently completed a 3-year postdoctoral fellowship. She is also currently an associate editor at the Buildings and Cities Journal and a visiting fellow at the Global Sustainability Institute, Edgley Ruskin University, UK. With this, I would like to request Dr. Rehab Khalid to proceed with her presentation on an overview of clean cooking for rural household in a global perspective. So over to you, Dr. Rehab Khalid.
Thank you so much, Ehsan, and thank you to SAARC for inviting me today. So my talk today is going to focus on advancing clean cooking in rural households, giving you an overview from a global perspective. So before I begin, I just want to quickly give you an overview of the MEX program, where I'm a research associate. So the MEX is an 8-year UK-funded project which works together with local partners in 16 countries with studies in over 20 countries. And the main aim of the project is to break away from the business as usual cycle to promote rapid transitions from fossil fuel to clean cooking. It mainly focuses on leveraging investment in renewable energy, both on-grid and off-grid, to integrate electric cooking into the planning for electricity access. Now, I wanted to start with explaining what we mean by clean cooking. So clean cooking is based on fuels that, when burned, emit less than the World Health Organization's specified levels for air pollutants and particulate matter. And the transition to clean cooking is seen as part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7, which aims for universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. Now, traditionally, in developing countries and in rural areas, especially, we see the use of polluting cooking fuels that include biomass, kerosene, and charcoal. Whereas modern energy cooking fuels include LPG, electric or solar cooking, natural gas, alcohol-based cooking, which includes bioethanol, and biogas. And these are known to be clean for health at the point of use and are characterized as clean for particulate matter and carbon monoxide household emissions. Now, in some cases, you will find that improved biomass cook stoves are also considered as clean cooking technologies because they present a more efficient alternative to the traditional technologies. However, it's important to recognize that these are transitory fuels and that they should ultimately lead to modern energy cooking. Now, coming to the big picture. Now, despite progress, we see that today 2.3 billion people across the world still remain without access to clean cooking fuels and technologies, and they still rely on these traditional polluting energy sources. And from these, 1 billion people are living in developing Asia. Now, if you look at the trends, we can see that in the last decade, progress has been made in Asia, where the number of people without access has been declining. But in sub-Saharan Africa, this number has never stopped growing. And so we see that in Asia, there's continued progress towards greater clean cooking access, while most African countries are not expected to reach full clean cooking access even in the 2050s. An important point here is the rural and urban divide. And in South Asia, one of the critical challenges is the access to the rural population, which still predominantly relies on biomass fuels. And you can see here for some of South Asian countries that their trend for rural population access, which is still quite low. Now, according to the World Bank, in South Asia, about 27% of the population has access to MECs, which is the modern energy cooking technologies, whereas more than half, that is 54%, still don't have access. And just to give you a quick look at Pakistan, so we see that in Punjab and Sindh, while the share of clean cooking access is higher, in Balochistan and in northern Pakistan, there's still heavy reliance on biomass. And it's important to understand the significance of this reliance in terms of the cost of inaction. So we find that if we continue with the current rate of inaccess, this actually amounts to just over 790 billion US dollars per year in terms of adverse impacts that we see in health, gender, and climate. So the health impacts are the highest, which are associated with household air pollution that result in substantial mortality and morbidity rates, including chronic respiratory diseases, lung cancer, stroke, and cardiovascular diseases. The second highest cost is in terms of gender impacts, which reflect the loss of productivity and labor opportunities for women. Other adverse impacts also include increased gender-based violence, which is associated with fuel wood collection, and time poverty, which results in less time for leisure, comfort, and opportunities for market employment, with potential risks for lowered household status. And of course, I think we are all aware of the climate change impacts, which we are living in our everyday realities now. So this includes increased greenhouse gas emissions, but also black carbon emissions, which are associated with polluting cooking fuels, and is a key contributor to global warming. Now, in South Asia, these costs are the highest for gender and for climate. And clearly, there is a pressing need for coordinated efforts to phase out polluting and fossil fuel based cooking. But this requires a change in the clean cooking narrative. Now, one of the core reasons why the MEX program came about was because how clean cooking was being portrayed and was seen within the international development sector. And so we see that the traditional narrative for clean cooking has narrowly focused on transitioning from biomass to cleaner but fossil based fuels, mainly through a technological switch. And while this marks progress in improving health and environmental outcomes, it lacks a comprehensive approach to address interconnected challenges of affordability, reliability, cultural acceptance, and wider issues of climate change. On the other hand, the new narrative, which has emerged in recent research and policy, embraces a holistic approach, pivoting from clean to modern energy cooking services through an integrated energy planning. The emphasis is on renewable energy adoption, acknowledging its scalability, efficiency, environmental benefits that also align with global carbon commitments and sustainable development. And so the key difference here is that while clean cooking has traditionally been siloed from SDG 7, the new narrative creates synergies between electricity access and clean cooking, integrating this with SDG 7 and climate action. Now, the UN's SDG 7.1.2 indicator, which is on access to clean fuels and technologies for cooking. Now, until recently, this was measured using a proxy of whether households cooked primarily with clean fuels. And so the focus has been on the dominant fuel use using this binary approach. However, this does not then account for a continuum of improvement and fuel stacking that is often done, and it only focuses narrowly on fuels, but not on other important attributes that reflect the user's context and cooking experience. And so the World Bank's SMAP, together with partners, developed a comprehensive way of measuring progress towards modern energy cooking services through the multi-tier framework for clean cooking. So this is a formal tool that integrates a holistic measurement criteria, including these 6 attributes that are measured across 5 tiers to represent progress towards MEX, which is modern energy cooking. And MEX here represents tier 4 and 5 or higher access across all 6 measurement attributes on this MTF scale. And so as you can imagine, achieving tier 4 and higher is not an easy task. Now, when we're talking about tier 4 and higher, there are 2 dominant fuels that we see in the market. The first is LPG, which is liquefied petroleum gas, and then we have electric cooking. So I just want to quickly talk a bit about LPG before moving on to electric cooking. Now, as I said, LPG is considered a tier 4 fuel and has been designated as safe and beneficial in reducing carbon emissions. And so it is considered as a desirable part of the multi-fuel mix needed to achieve clean cooking access. And there are certainly lots of lessons to be learned from countries like India, Indonesia, Morocco, and Brazil that have been successful in taking LPG to scale. For example, in India, 100 million households were given access to LPG in 8 years with the right enabling policy environment and a basic transport network. But having said this, LPG still has its issues, and one of the main ones is affordability. So most LPG programs have incorporated significant levels of subsidization with costs that are borne by the state and by the government. Many countries rely on LPG imports that represent huge costs. And at the end of the day, we have to remember that LPG is still a non-renewable fossil fuel based limited resource. And so it is not necessarily in keeping with our ultimate climate change targets. Now, when we start looking at electric cooking, we can think of this as 3 different fuels which are generated in very different market contexts. So we have national grid electricity supply, then mini grid electricity and standalone systems. And of course, in a lot of rural areas where grid connected electricity is still not available, mini grid electricity and standalone systems are often the only viable solution for electricity access. Now, electricity represents tier 4 and 5 cooking with no household emissions, and only the emissions are associated with the generation of electricity, but not with the actual use. And according to the International Energy Agency, electricity is going to become 12% of clean cooking fuel mix by 2030. Now, as I mentioned, if we're looking at rural areas and off-grid contexts, and if this electricity is generated from renewable energy sources like solar photovoltaics, then this can be the only option for them to get tier 4 and 5 access, which provides the cleanest cooking solution. Now, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the various challenges that we face in scaling up modern energy cooking services, specifically focusing on electric cooking. And of course, as I mentioned, one of the most critical challenges is infrastructure limitations. So in many countries in South Asia, the electricity grid remains insufficient to support high power demands of electric cooking technologies, particularly in rural contexts. So in many cases where even the electricity grid is available, its capacity, extent, and reliability is still limited. And if we start talking about off-grid contexts, even when off-grid solutions are there, they often don't cater to and are not designed for clean cooking access. In terms of market barriers, we see that fragmented energy planning approaches can hinder suppliers from scaling up and expanding operations. Higher taxes and misaligned tariff codes hinder industry growth and create an unfavorable business environment. And also, local manufacturing and supply of e-cooking technologies is still very much in the nascent stages in many countries, which means insufficiencies in local supply chains and dependence on imported technologies, which results in increasing costs and time lags. Now, in terms of cultural and behavioral barriers, we see that many communities across Asia exhibit a strong preference for traditional cooking methods, showing resistance to adopting new technologies, which are often perceived as incompatible with local cooking practices. And there remains a dearth of knowledge and a lack of consensus on what behavior change policies are best suited for adoption to clean cooking solutions once the supply side challenges are tackled. Now, in terms of data and energy modeling, we see the lack of comprehensive data and effective energy planning tools that severely limit the ability to forecast demand and plan adequately for e-cooking integration. But of course, I think the greatest challenge is financial barriers, as upfront costs and lack of financing options remain prohibitive for many households, especially in rural areas where incomes are often seasonal, based on agricultural productivity, and liquidity of assets remains lacking. So with electric cooking especially, we also see that there is a strong perception that it is very costly and therefore unaffordable for most people. And lastly, there's still much work needed in terms of regulatory frameworks, where the absence of supportive policies and financial mechanisms in most countries continues to stifle progress. And also we see that there is a lack of intergovernmental coordination. So a siloed approach within government ministries and departments can limit the kind of holistic approaches that are needed for the clean cooking transition. For example, we see that while business and enterprise can be seen as a subset of institutional cooking, it often sits within different policy frameworks, which are managed by different government agencies and ministries. Now, I know I've indicated a lot of challenges, but it's not all doom and gloom. And actually, we see that there is a lot of research and innovation happening in the field, especially looking at digital measurements, reporting and verification systems, Internet of Things, which are now being incorporated within e-cooking appliances and technologies, which can significantly enhance the efficiency and user friendliness of e-cooking solutions. Now, in terms of investment and financing, again, lots of innovation is being made in terms of business models and delivery models. So we see pay-as-you-go systems and green bonds, which can help alleviate financial barriers, and more innovative systems like carbon financing and results-based financing are now becoming more popular within the sector. For example, a recent project piloted, which is being piloted in Bangladesh and Cambodia with the help of ATEC, uses carbon financing and provides promising avenues for broader application across the continent. In terms of market development, now this can be spurred by shifting manufacturing processes to South Asia, reducing costs and improving market responsiveness. And there's a lot of potential for regional manufacturing hubs to be developed, for example, in Pakistan. And by local manufacturing, this can also lead to co-benefits, such as job creation and sustainable industry development. Now, of course, it's important to recognize that while I am focusing on electric cooking, we still need a multi-fuel strategy and integrated energy planning which is important to recognize that a holistic approach to clean cooking is the way forward. So we see that countries like Nepal and Indonesia provide examples where successful policies have incorporated diverse energy sources, ranging from biomass to LPG to electricity, which are then tailored to different community needs. And to embrace all of these opportunities, a truly holistic approach is required that includes participation of multiple stakeholders and the convening power of organizations like ASEAN and like SAARC, as well as integrated efforts across multiple sectors. So integrating energy with health, climate, industry, and finance in both rural and urban development, in integrating gender and social protection policies, as well as clear national targets for cooking. Now, the MEX program understands the need for such a multi-pronged approach. And so it uses a jigsaw approach to support not just an enabling policy environment, but also consumer awareness together with improved supply chains. And I just wanted to give you a quick peek into some of the key MEX initiatives and projects within each of these categories, which can serve as a guiding tool and inspiration for other organizations. So in terms of the policy enabling environment, while MEX has done a lot of work in Africa, in Asia, MEX has supported policy work in Nepal, where the government has adopted policies to make electricity the primary cooking fuel for 25% of households by 2030. And this goes, and this is aligned with introducing a special e-cooking tariff, which encourages the adoption of electric cooking. So MEX has carried a lot of initiatives together with the Nepali partners, which have supported evidence building, which supports this. Now, in India, MEX has supported policy development mainly through programs like the Entrepreneurship Development Program, which was launched in collaboration with the local government and supports SMEs and local enterprises through comprehensive training and mentorship. Now, in terms of standardization, MEX has supported the development and approval of the gold standard metered methodology for carbon credits for modern energy cooking devices. And this allows for efficient and accurate quantification of emission reductions from electric and other metered cooking devices, which enhances the integrity of carbon credit claims, making it more attractive for investment. Now, in terms of consumer awareness, MEX has worked together with local partners in 8 countries to develop e-cookbooks. And these are very interesting. I would highly recommend that you go and look at these. So they're based on demonstration projects and controlled cooking tests for traditional local dishes, and they provide comparisons for how they can be prepared more efficiently with electric cooking appliances. So in these e-cookbooks, you can find comparisons for total energy costs, financial costs, cooking durations, and carbon emissions for different cooking technologies in preparing the same local traditional dishes. And in addition to e-cookbooks, there are also cooking diaries. For example, the Indonesian cooking diary presents in-depth study on cooking practices, the types of food eaten, and how households interact with various cooking fuels and technologies in their daily lives. And this is very important for starting to build that baseline of data. And in terms of supply chains, one of the key contributions that MEX has made is the global market assessment, which evaluates the potential for scaling up electric cooking globally, especially in the global south. So it draws on data from 130 countries and focuses on key factors that influence the viability of electric cooking, including energy infrastructure and human development indicators. And this is available in the form of a tool, online tool, which you can access, and it gives a score for each country based on its estimated readiness and viability for transitioning to e-cooking. So, for example, countries like China, India, Malaysia, and Thailand are identified as having high viability for transitioning to e-cooking due to existing infrastructure and the current high costs of polluting fuels like charcoal and kerosene. And you can also find some fact sheets for some of the partner countries, such as the one for Nepal here. Now, I should just mention that although this gives a ranking, this does not indicate a priority order in any shape or form. Rather, what it's showing is that which areas pose more critical challenges and what preliminary measures might need to be taken before a transition to clean cooking can be made. For example, if the electricity grid is not available, then perhaps alternative solutions like turning to off-grid solutions might be the more viable option. And in terms of some other supply chain projects, MEX has carried out a number of different challenge funds to promote innovation, early research, and piloting for e-cooking technologies. And I just wanted to highlight a few of these. So the electric cooking outreach pilot studies focused on assessing long-term impacts for long-term sustainability of e-cooking in different communities. And the Cosmo project here focused on integrating electric cooking solutions with existing mini-grid infrastructure to enhance their revenue and viability. So I'm going to stop here, but I'd just like to say that there's all of this information and much more is available on the website. All of these publications are open access, so please do go take a look. You can also subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media. And also just to note that at COP29, we are launching the Africa report, which is the Sustainable Scaling Meeting the Clean Cooking Challenge in Africa report, which is very comprehensive. It's available online already, so please do take a look. Thank you so much, and I welcome your questions and feedback.
Thank you very much, Rehab. It's really indeed a very important presentation. You covered conclusively all aspects of clean cooking. I'm afraid you left nothing for the rest of the experts. So
Oh
it's
no, I'm
really,
sure there's
really
lots left. There's lots more to be done.
no, but I'm impressed. We covered collectively all the aspects in I mean, from the very basics towards the conclusion and recommendations. And frankly, in the same context, we got a question for you from participants from Sri Lanka. He also appreciated your presentation and asked that in your view and experience, what could be the top 3 recommendation for transitioning to modern energy cooking?
Thank you so much for the question. I think I would say that the top 3 recommendations. So the first one is really integrating cooking within energy planning. So as I mentioned, there's always been this siloed approach where energy access has been separated from clean cooking access. And so any policies, any energy policies, whether they're rural electrification policies, national clean energy strategies, or NDCs, they have to integrate energy with clean cooking. And also, I think we need to start prioritizing decentralized energy access and give more focus to off-grid solutions, because this is the only way that rural access to clean cooking will be a possibility. The second important recommendation is in terms of bottom-up approaches. So I'll say that a lot of top-down work is done, a lot of technology is distributed, but we see that it often doesn't last long. And the reason is that the community is not taken on board. So we need to include the community as participants, as active stakeholders in any project that is undertaken, whether it's for energy access more broadly and especially for clean cooking, because that is the only way that long-term resilience can be achieved for these technologies. And finally, I would say that affordability, I think, remains one of the key challenges. And so, if we are talking about leaving no one behind, we really have to think about bringing in innovative financing models, innovative business and delivery models. And as I mentioned, so now there is a lot more focus on results-based financing and carbon financing. So, if you would allow me, if we have time, I would just like to say a bit about carbon financing. So carbon financing leverages the concept of carbon credits, which then allows for funding projects that are environmentally beneficial. And so well, we have this example of the ATEC project, which has recently launched this pilot project called Cook to Earn in Bangladesh and Cambodia. And this is based on a carbon financing model, which utilizes carbon credits to make clean cooking solutions more accessible and affordable, while also providing financial incentives to the users. So the way that this works is that households are asked to switch from their traditional polluting cooking fuels to cleaner cooking solutions that are provided by ATEC. And then this reduces emissions. This decrease in emissions is then calculated by comparing the baseline emissions from the traditional cooking fuels with the emissions from the ATEC technologies. And this emission reduction is then verified and certified according to international carbon market standards, converting it into carbon credits, which are then sold on the voluntary carbon markets to businesses and organizations that are seeking to offset their carbon emissions. And so the proceeds from selling these carbon credits becomes a revenue stream, which is then given to the end users who are using these technologies as financial incentives and rewards, hence the name of the project, Cook to Earn. So I think this is a very promising future pathway for us, where using more efficient technologies can also become a revenue source, an income source for low-income households. So it's a win-win situation.
Thank you very much, Rehab. You explained it very well. Though we are having 2-3 minutes, so what I would request is that since you mentioned regarding various funding available with MEX, like these challenges, so challenge funds, so from young researchers and tech startups point of view, I would request you if you can explain it once again in a quick manner within 3 minutes, so that the youngsters from our region can avail these opportunity and take advantage of this option.
Yeah, so I would say that MEX as a program has made it its sort of agenda to not only get more players from the global south, but also not just focus on academics or industries or larger institutions. So it creates these opportunities by providing these small pockets of funding, small challenge funds that are introduced quite regularly and that focus on different aspects of clean cooking. So the focus is on clean cooking, but there have been projects that focus on improving the repair and supply chains. The e-cookbook and the cooking diaries projects were very much based on understanding user demands, traditional practices for cooking. Then a recently launched project is the STARS project, which focuses on standalone and rooftop solar systems that integrate clean cooking solutions. And so anyone is able to apply. As long as you have a viable project, as long as you have a good aim and project objectives in terms of how you can improve the sector, what contribution you can make, and you can create partnerships, you can work together with academia, with local social enterprises. So this is a chance for small businesses as well to get on board, to get small pots of funding, to test a technology, to carry out demonstration projects, to check the feasibility and viability of an existing system. So it's a very, very open field, and it's really up to the up to people like you to come up with innovative solutions, to propose something new, something different that hasn't been done, to even to test an already existing technology. So even these kinds of projects are accepted. All you need to do is look at the guidelines. Do get in touch with us if you need any help in understanding the application process, and we'd be happy to guide you as well. So I would highly recommend young people and researchers, anyone who is, NGOs, anyone who's working in the field, to please keep a lookout for these challenge funds, which is your way of getting a pot of funding to, to start your own project, to start your own technology.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's a really good opportunity for our youth in South Asia and to cope up with this major challenge of this clean cooking gap, and obviously other options are also available. So with this, I thank you very much for your time. I know it's very early in UK, but I would again request to be and bear with us for little more time, so that by any time, if somebody, any of our esteemed participants need anything, any clarity from you, or they have any question in their mind, so I would request you to please stay with us. Once
My
again,
pleasure. Thank you so much.
thank you very much. So, dear participants, our next presenter is Mr. Vimal Kumar. Mr. Vimal Kumar is in country program lead with Max Program India and a co-founder of Finovesta, which is based in New Delhi, India. Vimal Kumar is an accomplished leader in program and fund management and capacity building with around 2 decades of experience across sectors. As the in-country program lead for the Modern Energy Cooking Services Max program in India, funded by the UK government, Vimal has been instrumental in advancing clean cooking technologies, working closely with the stakeholders to drive policy, finance, and market innovations. He's co-founder of Finovesta, a consultancy that collaborates with global developmental agencies, government bodies, and businesses in areas mainly clean cooking, energy, and environment. He holds MBA in finance, mathematics honors degree, and is certified associate of the Indian Institute of Bankers. I would request Mr. Vimal Kumar to proceed with his talks on modern clean cooking technologies, the challenges and opportunities. Over to you, Vimal Kumar.
Let me get my screen.
Yeah.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is. Now you can change it to full screen mode. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you for nice introduction, and thank you, Rehab. You have covered almost everything, and you have made my job easy. So I like to quickly introduce what actually this means when we talk about modern clean cooking technologies in rural household. So whenever we talk about rural household, we have to be very careful about the cost. In the clean cooking solutions, and especially the modern energy based clean cooking solutions, the cost of acquisition of devices and operating cost, the cost of fuel is going to be very, very important. So here the user has to pay upfront cost also and the regular cost also. So the costing and various aspects is very much required. So my name is Vimal Kumar, as I am co-founder of Finovesta, and we are leading MEX program in India. For the MEX program, India is a very special country. We are focusing on the providing the innovative devices for the program country where we can able to solve. And when we say innovative devices, we have to also very sensitive about the cost and how the new innovations can be promoted in the sector. This is the World Bank data, which Rehab has already mentioned about the economic opportunity. I'd like to take the next step, which is try to focus on the airshed level, pollution level, where that World Bank has actually identified 7 zones. These 7 zones ranges from the Pakistan to Bangladesh, including Iran, Afghanistan. So most of the our SAARC countries are involved, other than the southern part. So we all are facing the similar challenges. As you may aware that Delhi is again facing the severe air pollution challenge, and in which we have already triggered our great response to tackle the air pollution. So it is going to be very important. I especially like to highlight the airshed level. So in the 7 zones like that, we have a common zone between India and Pakistan, which is zone 6. And this also touching about some part of Afghanistan. Then we have another part which is touching that 1, 2 and 3 zones, which is touching India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan. All these parts are coming, and it's also going beyond that. So the pollution is no more the political geography. It is going to be more kind of a geography, in terms of geography, physical geography. When we look this graph critically, in the same World Bank report, they suggested that how the pollution is contributed. So they have mapped the PM 2.5. As per the PM 2.5, the cooking, the traditional dirty cooking, is actually contributing a lot in the entire region. And some of the states in India, like Uttar Pradesh, which goes 29% in overall pollution. So this is a very big challenge, and the residential sector play a big role, and the cooking of course become a most important part, as most of the rural household is still dependent on the biomass and firewood. This is the global trend. Riya has already mentioned about the Asian part, and then some African part. Again, coming to the, we talk a lot about that cooking, and cooking is the one of the area where it touches across multiple, and Reha has mentioned that we bring everybody's together. So here I also want to bring the notice that even it is going to be very important for the net zero emission, and the net zero emission clearly suggests that role of electricity is going to be there. And when we see the demand this is the global data, not the India specific data, but if you see the cooking is going to play a very vital role. The only thing is it's going to increase on the regular basis the adoption of electric cooking. So maybe like, yes, I don't date some challenges there, but definitely when you talk about that by 2050, this is going to be the most important fuel. And even this, the yellow line is indicating the electricity consumption, electricity demand. And if you say that about 50% of the cooking is expected to be done by the electricity cooking. Then most important, like in India, especially when we see that is the green is great. So of course that IEA has again populated the data, and they have taken that how much CO2 we are emitting while producing the electricity. And if you see the graph, they have populated the graph from 2014, and they realize that the CO2 emission is regularly reducing. So which means that even it is the dirty fuel at on date, but not complete dirty, it is going to improve on the regular basis. So again, the electricity again coming as the best place candidate in the terms of clean cooking. And if you see the India, which is the yellow part, so maybe the Indian electricity emission was higher, but it's actually going to be improving on the regular basis, as country itself declared that we are going to become net zero by 2070. So as a mixed jigsaw, which is a very interesting and important tool, how we are guided and how we are actually tackling this problem. So we are basically working in a 3 major domain. We are working on the policy side, we are working on the consumer awareness, and then supply chain. if you look at the policy, the cooking is going to be the still it is going to be the that government supported initiative. So the policy need to be there. At least the policy should be supportive to make it affordable, viable, as most of our work goes with electricity, and as we all know, electricity is the responsibility of the government across world, across country, across the states and all. So normally electricity is going to available in your each and every household, and just you need to bring the devices like the plug level, and then we start cooking. So we don't have to think about that we have to collect the firewood, we have to prepare the biomass or the cow dung cakes, or we have to let's say go for a LPG cylinder collections and all. So it is everything is available on your house. So that's why the policy is going to be important in terms of that. To enable that, we do a talk series. That our talk series is focused on the monthly basis. We take various aspects. It happen normally third week of Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m. Indian time. It's mostly happening, and we pick the pertinent challenge and pertinent topic which we wanted to talk at that point of time. Then we do the this is the again for a unique initiative. Then another initiative is the Modern Energy Cooking Forum, which we do annually. We have concluded in September again. That was the third edition, and the lot of interest has been shown here. The international participations was there, and the people from the across 20 countries are actually interested in this. Then we are working with the state. In India, it's a peculiar situation, so we have to work with the state, and the state is the responsible for the electricity as an energy. Then woman is the most important aspect. Ultimately, the user of energy, electricity, or the cooking energy is mostly women, if not all. So is the woman is participating in the entire value chain, including the generation, including the device designing, and also their role is important. So we have started the women in modern energy, and then we are doing in India level, we are doing the policy campaigning. So what are the policy available? What are the ecosystem available to support this? And we are consolidating in one place. These are the critical work, and we have to enable the policy. So we have to provide lot of data which is not available, like India e-cookbook, in which we have mapped 25 popular and staple dishes in India, and we try to cook and how the electricity consumption pattern is, how the cookability is the most important. As many a time we just say that electricity is not viable for all types of cooking, especially chapati making and all, which in this part in the SAARC region, that chapati is one of the most important thing. So we have also established that this kind of thing is possible. That of course innovation is needed, the right innovations. We also try to do a pilot in the 100% cooking with electricity. Then we have did with a very large evidence-based research in clean cooking with the partnership with the National Institute of Advanced Studies in Bangalore area. Then the consumer, the most important aspect which can't be ruled out. So is the consumer is ready? So we always say as a mix, it is not it is a very different device. Here it is not just any energy efficient device, just switch on or switch off. Here you have to adapt, you have to change your behavior, you have to change your entire kitchen settings, which I'll be talking in details later. So what we do, we go in a ground, we provide the training demonstrations, sometimes we do some kind of competitions also. Then we have supported street food vendors, that street food vendors are one of the most important player in the value chain, because they use the biomass, sometimes they uses the commercial LPG cylinder, which cost which is non-subsidized, which is a very huge cost. And then cooking also bring that, electric cooking also bring that devices, your devices is not getting dirty, so you have to you require to have the very less water to clean all this. And then we always say that why the cooking is going to be such an intense topic, so let's have some fun. So how the electric cooking can be adapted, having the concept of fun. So e-cooking fun we have launched. We do a lot of activities in our office. Everybody working in a clean cooking sector, they gather on the regular basis. They cook, they try themselves, and also this is actually giving. In every demo, that e-cooking fun session, we bring some one person from outside that we first train him or her, then we get. So this is also a tool where we are actually bringing the livelihood for the sector, and then we are working with the state governments, and recently we did a capacity building program, that is skill with the skill council. We have a skill council which we have trained the trainer curriculum along with the skill council of green job, and we have trained I think 26 people in this space. And on the, of course, the supply chain is the most important. The devices need to be available, devices need to be easily available and the cost effective. So of course, one of the most important tasks which we do as we do a lot of manufacturer connects. We are exhibiting the new technology, we are introducing the technology on the ground, we are regularly exhibiting. We in India we have a very special company called EESL, Energy Efficiency Services Limited. They actually credited to bringing the cost of LED bulb from 400 rupees to just 10 rupees through the various innovative model. So finance is not only solution. We realize that bringing the affordability, we need to have the innovation finance. So in our definition of innovation financing, we have actually clubbed 2-3 multiple things. So we are working with the manufacturers. We are trying to solve their challenges. Innovation challenge fund, which they have is mentioned about. This is the one of the tool which we are helping them to reduce their cost through the research and development through our funding. And this kind of fundings are available in multiple. So this is the one tool. Then second tool is that demand aggregation. So let's say 10 people are going and buying 100 devices each. The manufacturers or will not going to reduce the price, but let's say we are coming to 100 people and saying that everybody want 1,000 devices. So if one agency go and ask the manufacturer, I need 100,000 devices in one go, they are going to reduce the price, and that price will become a benchmark for the next requirements. So that is a, we call it demand aggregation based large scale model. And then we also do the supply chain need assessment. We have again did a study where, in fact, doing the study in which we are mapping the supply chain. Is in India, we are also targeting that India is going to be the device manufacturing hub for the next program in our program countries. So we are making our manufacturers ready, and then we are also doing the technology compendium. What are the technologies available and all? This is also ready. And then most important, like the financing and the capacity building is important. So we have also concluded a session with the PFAN in partnership with the PFAN, where we have organized the investor pitch and connect for the sector, which is again kind of a unique. So now this is the about the global prospective linking in India. Now let's drill down to the India level. What is actually in India, what we are doing, how it is relevant. So in India, about 38%, means more than 1/3 of population is still dependent on the traditional biomass and firewood cooking. This is actually leading to low bad air quality. Number 2, increase the respiratory infection, and we have the data globally which say that 40 million people are 4 million people are actually facing this challenge, and deaths are happening. In India also about 500,000 deaths are happening because of this. So this is the very, very challenging, as I try to link in my initial discussion, the air pollution. So the death which World Health Organization has suggested in their report. So it's a very, very important to look into from this angle also. So what India does, since this is the big challenge. So India has actually first country to adapt at the population scale. And we have in 2016, we have launched the Prime Minister Ujjwala Yojana, under which we have ensured to coverage of LPG connections to all households. So we have the concept of below poverty line family, BPL families. So government of India has provided the free connections to over 10 million household free LPG connections. So this was our effort started in 2016. And if you see, this is a very good innovative tool for the government to provide the scale of India, which we are talking about. We have a scale of like 1.4 crores, and that is a 1400 population and all. And the challenges started coming in. The cost of refilling is very high. People are not refilling. So some of the data suggested that Ujjwala Yojana beneficiary, they are just refilling 0 to 3 cylinder per year, whereas the global, the India average is 7.4 cylinder in a year. And this population 0 to 3 cylinder is about 50% of this particular BPL family. So it is a big people are still big number of people are still not cooking. Then in India, over 50% of the LPG fuel is imported. So again, we are spending money on the import, and still it's not solving the challenges. So what to be done now? So India is actually looking that we have to switch to the modern energy-based cooking. And when we Rehab has already presented the MEX perspective, so further linking the MEX perspective to the India perspective. So in India, we realize that electricity is the best place candidate to talk about electricity cooking. And when we looked overall as a mix, that what is the India capacity, what is the is possible, is the quality of electricity is good. So over the year, like we are here in India for 4 years, now our installed capacity is sufficient enough, and it is keep growing. Then the renewable energy has actually crossed 200 gigawatts. Like I was mentioning that many people talk that is the electricity is green. So yes, it is becoming greener. The government of India in February 2021 launched the Go Electric campaign to promote electric vehicle and electric cooking. So and that is that India skill. Then there is the report which is government of India launched and says that 25% of the household can cook with electricity by 2030. And as we know, the mix has also says that 40% the people have the excess of clean energy can cook with electricity. So more or less it is aligned, and some of the experts believe this 25% is a very conservative figure. This can actually goes very high. Again, we have these devices need to have the energy efficient. So we have in India called BE star level in a commercial terms. So like 5-star rating is the highest standard available energy efficient device, and it goes up to 1 to 5. So induction cook stove is also part of the purview. And then another enabling factor comes as the Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, means free electricity under the PM solar scheme, which says that 300 units of electricity, equivalent electricity, can be provided for free of cost to the solar generation. So again, this is 300 units is the very, very important tariff consumption level where the cooking is also possible. So lighting, a small fan and all, the cooling and the cooking can be possible with this 300 units of electricity, which is a very well thought through plan. And like some of the country has the lifeline tariff, which are actually in the same range also. However, the penetration is low, but it's improving. The urban cities is going up to around 10%, rural is around 3%, overall Indian is the about 5%. So what important aspects here to see, like somehow the electricity prices we've seen is more or less as a constant or increased slightly higher, but the LPG connections, LPG gas prices are actually fluctuating huge. So again, electricity is an important tool for country like India to talk about, and talk about the cost prospects also. So what is India? and where we are, what we are thinking in future. So currently we have about 450 gigawatts installed capacity. We are targeting to reach around 800 gigawatts by 2030. And if you see this or we as per our NDC claim, we have talked about 50%, around 500 gigawatts is coming from the renewable sources. So this is a very interesting aspects. Even the we have touched about the carbon financing, as a lot of carbon financing where the fuel replacement is LPG, where the our electricity is not very incentivizing enough for the carbon player to switch from the LPG to electricity. However, if the green bill become good, so it will become a more economically viable for the carbon finance people also. Yes, so what India has done. So it's a very interesting journey which India has traveled, and the mix has actually always there, and mix has also grown during the same period where the India started talking about electricity cooking. So India become a energy surplus nation or electricity surplus nation by September 2020, and we started our program in December 2019. Then we has launched the star labeling program. We have launched the Go Electric, which I have already talked about. Energy Transition Advisory Committee, which talked about the green shift. Again, it's a very interesting aspect. Like in many countries, we talked about LPG as a cooking fuel, but India has actually reached to the level where we realize that every technology has a sunset clause, and potentially for the Indian context, the LPG has reached to the level where the LPG is the sunset technology. And that's where the green shift report, which is the promoted, come from the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, the same ministry responsible for the LPG and PNG gas in India. And then I mentioned about the PM SAARC Yojana. And then very interesting aspects coming this, the PM SAARC Yojana, that government is providing up to 70-75% subsidy for setting up your solar installations up to 3 kilowatt. So again, government is putting a lot of money, and rest money can be secured from the bank, and then bank can only charge about 7% interest per annum. So it's a very innovative mechanism, and it has the net metering also. So whatever the left out electricity, it can go back to the grid. And like especially in the poor household, we all families in India especially, and I'm sure in the other part of the SAARC nation also, our family is also responsible for generating some kind of income for the entire household. So electricity through the solar is also giving that opportunity. The surplus generated solar energy can be plugged back in the grid, and you can take that, and a grid company can pay you some money. We also know that in terms of taxation, so government of India has reduced the taxation, which is the GST, from 18% to 12% for the solar cooking, and they have especially used the word solar cooking. Now India is looking in the mega scale, and in Article 6.2 and 6.4 they have added the clean cooking under the PPP route. So we are inviting our carbon companies to come. This is the part of the Article 6.2, so you can get your better returns of the investments for the carbon projects. Again, very interesting. Like what kind of devices are available? Is the devices is sufficient? So yes, there are several devices which she already talked, so I'm not going to talk too much on this. But our report suggests that electric pressure cooker, EPC, if fondly we call in short form, this is the most energy efficient device, and most of the cooking can be possible, of course, in your mountain region or the desert region where the chapati is made. So other than the chapati, like boiling based food is best, goes rice and even vegetable and all. The deep frying can be go, but again, deep fry is not yeah. And then we have mapped various devices which is available, which can actually promote the electric cooking. And then yeah, Ehsan, I understand you were trying to indicate the time, so I will just taking about 2-3 more minutes, and then I'll finish it. and how the cooking can be possible. So we have mapped from the radiant infrared cook stove, which is coming in a new, and this is available in the good range of electricity consumption. Price is also good. Why electricity cooking? So I will not talk too much on this because it's already covered, but as we know that it is going to be very interesting aspects. This is the interesting aspect. So if you see the all kind of cooking, possible cooking, electricity is the best place candidate across all. If you look at the parameters like affordability, availability, convenience, safety, low emissions, and efficiency. This is the electric pressure cooker, which is the we as a mix believe that this device is the most innovative device. The reason behind that, this single device has the 4 key feature, which is the has a hot plate, insulation, pressure cooker, and automatic controller, which allows the electricity consumption on the point where you need it, else it cut off. So electricity either 100% or 0%. This is the another device, which is the induction cook stove. So induction cook stove is again the efficiency goes 84%. It is not heat loss is very low because it has the electric coil and electromagnetic plate. You require the devices, but again it's bring the challenge. You require to have the flat bottom steel or many a time that manufacturers are coming with the flat bottom steel base, which is the induction friendly, they call it in their commercial language. But interesting aspect that whenever you are talking about new technology, new adoption, you have to change your kitchen, so cost will go very high, and normally kitchen is set up over the years and years and years, so you have to change entire vessels in one go, which is a costly affair. This is the e-cookbook which we talked, so I will not talk too much now because that this is the interesting aspect. So in India, there is a survey which came in 2018, which says that is the people are ready to cook with electricity. So yes, people are ready to cook with electricity across the domain where the various income level. Supply chain challenge, so which is of course biggest challenge is that the devices is available, the end life of devices, the repairability is there or not. And we always say in India, so if we have to promote electricity cooking, we have to bet. So bet means we have to change the behavior need to look very critically, behavior change has to be there. Then economics is the most important, and how everything can come through the technology. So all these 3 has to look from the single agenda, single point, then we can able to solve. Where India stand? So India actually looking the electric cooking from the various angle, and our Honorable Prime Minister in the Auto Expo this year, he says that let's say we have 25 crore household, 250 million household, and if they started using the rooftop solar and using the battery storage for cooking, so this number of battery installation will actually lead to better R&D in battery and larger player coming in a battery sector. So the battery cost will come down, and it's actually helping the electric cooking and electric vehicle. And the government of India is working a lot in the solar and battery. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vimal Kumar, and I'm really impressed with the signal you quickly picked up. Thank you very much. Let me go with question, because we are short of time, but that is sort of keeping in view your interdisciplinary skills or experience, and I believe you are the the cross-cutting expert in this webinar. The question is like you explained very well on electricity cooking, and obviously where grid is accessible, we can achieve more and more efficient cooking techniques and cooking tools to address our cooking, replace these old or the traditional cooking approaches. But the question is that keeping in view the current prices of solar PV, how you see the e-cooking stoves or this various gadgets you explained. I mean, what is the best combination of our approach for e-cooking with standalone solar PV to reach to replace the cooking habits in the area where there is no access to grid, and how from economic point of view and the cooking habits point of view, how you see and what solution you expect at this stage of time or this point of time.
So yes, we recognize the solar cooking is the big challenge. The cost is very prohibitory, and of course behavior and adaptation as well. And IOCL, which is our largest energy company, has launched, and they are the only player in the globally that which has deployed highest number of devices. So it requires government support. Without government support, it is not going to be possible. Even for the carbon players also, this is not. Prepositions we are bringing. So if there is no government support, solar cooking may not be possible. And when I like to add, we have mentioned about the STARS Challenge Fund, which is the rooftop solar based cooking, and in which we have recognized this challenge, and we have floated the challenge fund to see that is the solution is available in the public and how we can actually support. So we all are grappling with the same. As on date, government support is required.
So you think that as for now, buying such things are not feasible from open market until unless they are subsidized by government.
So what our manufacturers, like we are working a lot with the manufacturers, and manufacturer is one of the most important. So what the manufacturer has told us, yes, they are not able to sell the devices without any support.
So still the research is continuing. Thank you very much once again, Vimal Kumar. Obviously, you added a lot upon Rehab's content, and in specific in India context, because of the rich experience and far in ahead in the region in technology and such approaches. So, which is a guiding principle for the rest of the member states, which has to follow. So, once again, thank you very much. We will move to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Miss Nilachana Shrestacharya. She's currently working as gender and energy expert consultant with Asian Development Bank. She is an energy professional with more than 12 years of experience in renewables, on-grid and off-grid sector. She is with Asian Development Bank since 2018 as a technical assistant and coordinator, gender and energy expert, consultant supporting energy sector with her expertise in project design, processing, implementation, administration, and facilitation. She has master's degree in environmental and energy management from University of Twente and bachelor's in mechanical engineering. She has also served as faculty members at various engineering and colleges and universities. So over to you, Miss Lachana, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ishan, for the introduction. And I'd like to thank you for having me here. Just a minute, I think there's echo. Yeah. Sorry for the technical glitch. Yeah, and thank you for having me here. And to start with, I'd like to.
It's again echoing.
Is it still?
Yeah, there is a.
Just a minute.
Have you connected two devices in parallel? Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe it works now. Oh.
Not yet. Still echoing. Give it a try. Otherwise, I believe it's understandable, but preferably if we don't have echo, it would be better.
Do you hear me now?
Still.
Sorry. Now, how is it? Still, there is echo.
Still.
Now, it's okay.
Yeah, it's
Right?
okay. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So let me start. Um, yeah. So I'd like to start with this quote from a few men who are already using, the electric cooking in their kitchen. So they say like, with free smoke-free kitchen, I feel great about cooking here, and now I'm happy helping my wife. And I really like this technology. So like it's like you know how there is the transformation in the gender roles with this new technology. And today's presentation, I'd like to focus on how ATP is supporting on promoting uh, induction cooking or e-cooking, and what is its approach. Um, to begin, I'd like to have a quick view on what is the access to clean cooking, and I'd also focus on a bit more on Nepal area. And when you see it, it's like 2.3 billion people lack access to clean cooking, and 760 million people lack access to electricity. And when you talk about Nepal, 23 million people do not have access to clean cooking. And mostly the challenges, our previous speakers have spoken a lot on challenges, and now in this presentation, I'd like to focus on electricity supply and how ATP is supporting government on building the resilient and reliable electricity supply in the nation. So one of the major challenges you would see is the reliability and quality of electricity supply, due to which they are not able to use the e-cooking devices, and that's limited to lighting, entertainment, and mobile charging only. And next, a bit more focus to Nepal's scenario on cooking. And when you see biomass uses, it's 90% is utilized in household for cooking and heating. This 90% looks bit more, but when you, this is because it's, they get free fuel wood, and they have the also fuel stacking. They use biomass together with other source of fuel as well for cooking. And we can see big shift to LPG, uh, and you can see how the import is been, increasing, and you see the decrease in kerosene. So you can see the trend, how the cooking scenario is in Nepal. And when you talk about electric or induction cooking, only 23,000 households are currently using e-cooking methods for their kitchens. So getting into a bit more on electricity access and bottlenecks. So this is something our one and only utility, Nepal Electricity Authority, who says like there is significant increase in repair and maintenance cost if like we have lot more, electric cooking in the area, and they have like it crosses their ability to hold that. And major challenges they face is in managing the peak loads effectively, due to which you could see like there is low confidence in public for adopting this kind of devices. And other bottleneck you would see is like residential consumers. They often have low capacity connections, and which limits them to using these devices. So they'll have to upgrade their connections to at least up to 16 amps. And government has given them the priority for upgrading, and they can do it for free. And when you go into government commitments, it's quite ambitious if you see it. Like all the government papers have, prioritized the smokeless kitchen or electric cook stove. You could see like how nationally determined contributions, NDCs, have very ambitious targets about like 25% of households use electric cook stoves as of now. You could see like about 5 to 8% of the population are using e-cook stoves. So that up to 2030, they have the targets up to 25%. And but like government has been prioritizing electric cooking throughout the country through local governments, and we have Alternative Energy Promotion Center, who is also prioritizing this electric cooking in the country, and also Nepal Electricity Authority, who is also supporting use of this and upgrading the electric cooking throughout the country. And when you come to ATP's energy policy, you could see like it has 5 principles, and it all focuses on energy access, security, climate change, and environmental sustainability. And here we'd like to focus on principle 1, which would directly support the electrification program and promoting clean cooking solutions and improving efficiency, gender inclusions through this principle. And based on that, I'd like to take you to the energy sector portfolio, which looks like you see highest percentage you would see in electricity transmission and distribution. And this is like 54%, and that is followed by energy conservation, large hydropower, and bit you would see in renewable energy, geothermals, and solar, wind. So this is the how it is distributed. And when you come to Nepal, it follows the same trend. The highest percentage you would see in strengthening the rural transmission and distribution, and that is followed by large hydropowers and energy efficiency. And also renewable energy is focused in Nepal's portfolio, where you would see mini grids for solar wind, or mini hydros. That's also the priority areas in Nepal for now. And with this, ATP is supporting government in strengthening the transmission and distribution across the country. And with that, we are also supporting on like how we can have it gone to the rural community at the grassroots level. And here I'd like to present a case on like technical assistance, which is supporting, the loan project. The loan project is the SAARC Power Distribution and System Strengthening Project. So the main areas for this project is it works on system transmission capacity enhancement, distribution system enhancement, and also the Madhya province 2, which is one of the provinces which has, highest access to electricity, but like reliability is very poor, and there's lots of households which are without electricity. They get the electricity through their neighbors, or that's how they're also by hooking. So that area, it's focusing on that area for its distribution capacity enhancement. And to that loan project, we have a technical assistance project, which has majorly two outputs. The first one is supporting Nepal Electricity Authority on institutionalization of GESI, gender equality and social inclusion within the organization. And the other output we would look for is capacity enhancement of women, poor and marginalized, to use that electricity efficiently and productively. So this TA is implemented by a consortium of HIVOS, Center for Rural Technology, and NECON. So here we are, how I'd like to take you briefly to how we are working on empowering the rural communities. You could see 4 pillars out here, and the first one is through energy-based livelihoods. The energy-based livelihoods is like we have enterprise development and job creation focused for women, youth, and disadvantaged groups. And then we also have mass awareness. And mass awareness is like we use innovative media approach, like we are more on like interactive media and community engagement, where we have face-to-face, campaigns and street dramas, where we are building awareness mostly on like cooking, or it could be like gender equality and how we can have energy used for their livelihoods. So that's how it's working. And next is last mile electrification. This is like supporting Nepal electricity authorities in identifying those clusters, although they have the reach up to 99%, but then you could see the clusters out there, poor or disadvantaged groups. They could be like, missing links, like if they don't have, they are like informal settlements. Those kind of settlements have not received electricity yet. So we're supporting and coordinating, missing the filling those missing gaps as a bridge, connecting the utility to the local government and to those households, and having those households electrified. And other part is the electric cooking. This is like we are just piloting. This is the first time for ATB here in Nepal, although we have started in other countries. And this is like we are trying to have a model for promoting these cook stoves, how we can have it to wider communities and upgrade it. So here I'd like to briefly take you to the energy-based livelihoods, how we can have electricity, use of electricity on empowering the community in, building up those enterprises. In the picture, you would see the rural women using the machine for preparing the paper plates, and they have been supported on skill training and distributing those to the market. So it's like the holistic approach we are having. And the one of the outstanding part is like mentoring and handholding to those entrepreneurs, and they'll be supported throughout the process for establishing or scaling up those enterprises. And on vocational, we have linked to the Tibet training institutes, and they have been trained, and then we also have supported them to have the job placement through counseling supports and linking them to the employers. And other outstanding part would be agency-based empowerment. This is like having them through leadership, their voice empowerment. And here we'd like to acknowledge Johns Hopkins University for the handbook, which we have tailor-made the components into the training sessions. So this is like in the holistic approach where we are having the women into the empowerments and livelihoods. So moving on to electric cooking, this is what we have followed during the project, the TA, and we have like about 500 plus cook stoves being used by the rural community there. And here what we have, the strategy followed here is like we have the technology there and user education, which is more important than repair and maintenance. That's the after sales service, and also the finance. And when we talk about technology, here we'd like to highlight, the use of the reliable source of electricity. So the areas have been selected as such that the area has been upgraded. We have this in the community rural electrified areas where national utility and the CRE, they have upgraded the infrastructure with additional transformers and electric poles, so that the system, the whole system can uptake those electric cooking devices into the electricity supply. And user education that has been done through engagement of local stakeholders, local government in mass media campaigns, school campaigns, and also face-to-face campaigns, which is also, it's quite, this has been quite appreciated. And the local municipalities were also in hand for this initiative. And other part which worked out was the household improvements like meter capacity upgrades, household wiring improvements, and installation of power circuits, and also like advising and replacing with the safety devices, and having the community uptake the device into their kitchens. And these are some of the pictures you would see. This is the maintenance training, and this is the voice you could see from the rural community. So you could see like after getting used to this, they have like what they would say is like they get ease of cooking because they don't have to do with the smoke, or they get it very easy with the buttons once you get used to how to get it. And enhanced safety features, easier cleaning process because they don't have to do with the smoke and the black surface they have to clean. But they also pointed out high initial costs and irregular electricity supply, which is hindering the use of this device. And they also pointed out like need for adoption of maybe new cooking methods during their process of cooking. So this is one of the women entrepreneur who said like, it's become much easier to manage household chores and my business, and it is more time efficient and cleaner. So this is the observation and lessons. I think this has been covered by our previous speakers as well. I just quickly go into this. So what we would see is like when you have change in energy use, at the same time, there is also fuel stacking. They are not fully switching to electric cooking. They have biomass, firewood, and also LPG. Because like wherever they have free firewood or they have to cook for their animal feed, they use firewood. And when it is like the daily meal or quick something like tea or snacks, they switch to either to electric cooking or LPG. And once when they are used to to e-cooking, we could see like they have like more priority to e-cooking. They prefer e-cooking to LPG because it's like they don't have to keep changing their cylinders, or like it's easier for them. So that you could see in the behavioral change as well in among the users. Like when I was talking in the first slide, there was you could see like how men are getting into the um, cooking kitchen behaviors. So that is also important. And next is how important it is for after sales service, and also reliable electricity supply. That is even more important because like with disrupted supply, you cannot use the e-cooking devices. So that is one of the priority of ADB, for having the reliable electricity supply so that we can uptake these kind of devices into the system. And that's the observation and lessons we have seen. And when we talk about further plans, we have a plan to support government in further, taking up the transmission and distribution, strengthening in the rural areas like Karnali province, which is one of the lowest HDI areas. And so what we are planning is we take the strengthening, electricity strengthening there, and together with that, we're also planning to have electric cooking or like energy efficient household codes in the areas, and it's the cold region. So we could also work on how we can have the space heating efficiently. That's our plan. And also we're also planning to uptake e-cooking up to 1,000 cook stoves in Madhya province itself with Clean Cooking Alliance. And like that would also be used, we would be using ATIC, which Rehab was explaining earlier. So that is also going to be piloted in Nepal as well. And also like linking to carbon finance, that's in our further plan, how we can have these kind of electric cooking into carbon finance. So that's our upcoming plan. And with the lessons learned, we'll also have them secured into the upcoming projects and loans where we can have these kind of initiatives taken up more efficiently. So with this, I'd like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lachna Shrestha.
Over to you, Isha.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me? I'm audible?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ms. Lachna Shrestha, for your nice and detailed presentation, highlighting all those, areas that ADB is into it, and the technical assistance and everything. And let me mention here that we are in close contact with ADB regarding our this other energy sectors. So we are thankful to ADB for their welcoming approach. Whenever we ask for the help, they are always there for us and for the whole region. So I must appreciate that ADB is doing a wonderful job in this region, and we wish you all the best. So once again, thank you very much for your time. Uh, Luckily, we don't see any question for you. But since I'm impressed that luckily we got good experts who are, I mean, very experts in their areas, and you people have addressed this topic and covered this topic very nicely. That frankly, I don't feel any question to ask for. So with this, I'm really thankful. But yes, everybody, every participant is welcome to ask any question at any time. We have kept a week time even for any question that comes in their mind. They can email us, and we will try to I mean, engage our experts to answer that, to address that, or if we are able to do it ourselves, we will try to address that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we came across many interesting and useful information through the presentations and discussions. Today, good experiences are shared by the experts and some good questions by the participants. Uh, I would like to thank you, Dr. Rehab Khalid, Mr. Vimal Kumar, and Ms. Lachana Shristacharya for sharing your knowledge and taking us through the details. And thank you for the excellent response to the questions raised by the first participants. So I would like to pay my deep respect to all the participants for enthusiasm and active participation in this meeting. Finally, I would like to thank my colleagues for organizing this event and ensuring it ran so smoothly. I would like to officially announce the closing of this webinar. I wish prosperity of South Asian nations. Thank you for attention. May God bless you all. Goodbye and thank you very much. Yeah, one last request. Since Vimal Kumar has left, we can have a screenshot with our experts. So thank you. You both are online. So 1 minute. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you and bye bye.